Don Landis playing live today. What is the color of the soul of man? That's a Jimmy Driftwood song. When did he write that song?
Oh, it's actually a really great story. I don't know what year it was, but we could look it up because the story is, Fred told me the stories behind so many songs, but Jimmy Driftwood was a professor of history at the University of Arkansas, and he was very interested in race relations in America, and there was supposed to be the first African American vote in Alabama, and he got in his car, his wife packed him a lunch, and he drove. He wanted to be there. He wanted to witness it in person. So he drove to the place where they were having the vote, sat there, and waited all day, and there was a line of people, and they never opened the door. They never were allowed to vote. And he was really disheartened, and as Fred tells the story, he sat under a tree to eat his sandwich, and wrote the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's, seems to have relevance, doesn't it?
It
once you
really
are.
does. So many of his songs seem very relevant right now,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy.
It's interesting. Dawn Landis, her new record called "Meet Me at the River," and songs we're hearing today on that one, on that new record. So, you're a producer yourself, a record producer yourself, right?
Yeah, I dabble.
Yeah.
I dabble in production. Yeah.
Is it liberating to not have like? Are you two people when you're making your own record? Is it nice to get away from that, or do you miss it? How's that all?
Yeah,
go?
there's definitely a duality going on in your mind. It's hard to be the right brain and the left brain at the same time. So I find it really, really liberating, I guess, to hand that over to somebody else and say, you deal with the mechanics of it, and I'll just create it,
At the same time, is the other part of you going, okay, I'll remember that trick, so you can
Yeah, I mean, although the things that all of the decisions that Fred made in the studio, I totally agreed with him 100%. And he was pretty out of the picture. Like, he would just chime in every once in a while. Most of his work was already done by the time he put us in the studio together, He kind of let the musicians do what they wanted to do.
He was kind of sculpting the songs more than the sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And the sound too. I mean, by suggesting, he was pretty adamant that he wanted Charlie McCoy on the record, and I'm so happy that he did that.
That's instant cred, right?
Oh, well, yeah, but also I had never really played with a harmonica player. I mean, I have played some and had people sit in on harmonica, but I didn't think of it as something that I really was part of my sound or that I imagined it at all. But I really love all of his playing, and he played vibes too on the record, which is so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Meet Me at the River, this sort of Nashville country, whatever it is, Americana record. it kind of came from nowhere. I know you take your time on your records. Do you have another vision going forward, like is the next record?
Oh, well, I've got some stuff up my sleeve, but another thing I've been working on for a couple years now is a musical about this rower. And so
you did a TED Talk, right?
I did a TED Talk about it a few years ago, and it's actually it's got some momentum right now. In New York, there's a theater that's going to do a reading in March, and then we got into this festival called National Association of Musical Theater. They're going to present the first 45 minutes of the show, which is so fun because I don't perform in it at all. I wrote all the songs, but then, there's a cast of 10 people that sing them, and it's so fun to get to see that. I'm looking forward to that.
So are you arranging for a orchestra or something like that?
It depends. Like for the NAMPed thing, there's a musical director. I'm very hands-off at this point. It's funny. I just write the songs.
Put your name down there.
It's so funny. But yeah, there's a musical director, and I think the band for that ultimately I think it'll be like a 5 or 6 piece band with violin and maybe harmonium and glockenspiel and drums and bass and piano and beautiful stuff. But for the thing in October in New York, I think it's piano, guitar, and drums. I think that's what it is.
You've done some film score composing as well, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because a lot of times my songs end up in film or TV or something, and I have no control over that. For the most part. I mean, I think 1 or 2 times I've actually written a song specifically for a film. And then I have scored 2 films and 1 short film. So that was a while ago though, so it feels kind of distant, but yeah.
I just think it's cool. There's so many directions that your creativity.
I just like music, I just want to make as much music as possible. Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing it.
Thanks for listening to it.
So we're talking with Dawn Landis. Again, no shows in the area this time, but I bet next time you come around, we'll...
Yeah, well, I wanted to give a shout out to my friends Sarah and Dustin. They have a farm in Canton. That's where I'm staying. And it's an organic farm, and we were talking actually this morning about maybe doing a collaboration where I teach a songwriting class or something at their farm, and people could come and have an organic lunch and like see the grounds. And they have 17 acres. It's beautiful. And I think they're at a farmer's market right now in Waynesville, maybe. That's happening right now. But yeah, so I'll probably come through and do that. I'm not sure when, maybe in the summertime. But I'll definitely play here because my husband is from Chapel Hill, and we travel from Nashville to Chapel Hill often. So this is not too far out of the way.
Cool. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming by today.
Oh, it's a beautiful part of the country. It's gorgeous here.